Look at that. Welcome back. This time, maybe the last time. What the Fluxtaposed podcast. I am Jason Lacey. Guys, I've been doing this so long, and I still can't do it right. Here I am, joined. Look at that guy. It's Lucas Rose.
Yeah, it's me.
He's here. Look at that guy. It's Kevin Austin.
Did you miss me? Did you miss him? Did you miss
Kevin.
us all?
Hi, guys. Look at it. It only took, destroying everything to get us all together. I don't believe it. I love it. Kevin, you're still muted, by the way.
Let's just say I can't hear Kevin
We
at
love
all.
you.
Yes. Wouldn't be a Fluxtaposed.
I didn't know I could unmute myself. You told me you were muting me.
I was
saying,
but then you can override it. So
it actually took us breaking it to get Lucas to show up, because you and I have been together. Lucas and I have been together, but
Yeah. Well, we'll touch on all that, but it's I've been wanting to do a group show, since we expanded the roster, gosh, a while back, and obviously, as we always like to say, life finds a way, and we couldn't find a way, but I'm glad to have you guys here. I couldn't think of a better way to tie a bow on a long journey, right, than to have you guys here and just to hang out and just chat one last time and reminisce about the show. And I couldn't think, we've done the show for so long, but we've abandoned this format, and I thought to go out one last time with a video, with a live show. Why not, right? Why not? What could go wrong? First of all, I hate being in this seat, being the producer. That's why I always had Lucas. That was his job. And here I am. So if anything goes wrong, it's on me. So that's how it is. But wow, yeah. I don't know. We kind of had no real set agenda here. A little bit more free flowing than usual. And I guess let's tackle the monkey in the room, the elephant in the room, all the
Purple
things.
monkey?
I mean, yeah, the chicken monkey. We put the post on Patreon, and I think things escalated probably quicker than it originally anticipated. But after I think it's been a 10-year journey. I think we started the show 10 years ago. I can't ever remember the first dates without. There's not a great way to go back through the website history, especially now that it doesn't exist. You can go on the Wayback Machine Internet Archive. It's still all there, but I'm fairly certain that Lucas and I kicked off Fluxtaposed around February in 2014.
I looked, and your Twitter origination for Fluxtaposed was January 2014. So
okay,
you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So right around there. And we've done this a long time, right? And throughout that journey, I think we've always tried to stay true to our own form, but also, there's been some modification to the format, some changes. But what I'm always proud of is that we were always kind of true to ourselves, right? And we didn't change the show to try to chase clout or try to be something that we weren't, right? When we first started, we were very much, okay, we are gamers, and we're going to talk about games. And we had a specific, I think that very first episode, if I remember right, was we talked about Rust, of all things, a game that we only played together that one time and never again. But we were talking about emergent gameplay, and that was the original format, right? We were going to have these guided conversations and pick apart specific things about games and that. And I think very quickly we realized we don't have the effort levels needed to produce something like that, and I don't think that fit for us. And I think we really quickly landed on that whole concept of sharing our lives and sharing our hobbies and passions, with it being games and beer and movies and all of that. And that format, changed a bit, and I think we tightened that down over the years. But I think we always, I think the essence, right, the raw essence of what it was, always stayed the same. And that's what we stuck with. And I think for the longest time, and all the time, right, it didn't matter how many people showed up in the chat. It didn't matter how many people listened. We did the show for the enjoyment and the love of doing the show. And when we started out, we were married guys with not a lot tying us
Show for
down.
it. Yeah.
And then we had kids, and then we had mortgages, and then we had new car payments, and then there were more kids, and then there was buying houses and selling. There's just life just kept coming, right? And that brings us fast forward to now. Lucas has a family. Kevin has a family. There's a lot going on, and it just became harder and harder to juggle. Lucas, you had a job schedule that made you have to step away,
Yeah.
and I think, as I'm finding out too, once you step away and kind of recapture probably a bit of your life, you're like, wow, this is kind of nice. And I know, like, I think I always wrestled with the idea and I always felt guilty. Like, we were lucky enough to have people that have always supported us throughout this journey via Patreon and backed us along the way. And I think I always dealt with a level of stress and guilt because I never felt like we were delivering on the support that we were given, right? And I think people always knew us and didn't support us for the extras. They supported us because they liked us and enjoyed the things that we did were able to commit to. Um, and I think that's why we did the whole refocusing several months ago when we brought Kevin on, we brought Tom Servo on, and had like these big ambitions, right, to do all these things, and we were gonna change. It didn't seem to matter what change we made, you just couldn't rise to the occasion. And I think that's where I kind of started to struggle with a bit. I was like, man, we hope to reach the stars, but man, we keep coming up short. And we can talk this big game, but and no fault of anyone, it just wasn't. We weren't able to live up to the expectations I think that we really kind of set for ourselves. And I I don't want to make excuses or make jokes here, but after a while, like, you just, that feeling kind of wears down on you, and then just life. Like, I feel like in the past couple years, my career has really taken a lot more of my energy and my focus, and then trying to stay fresh for your family. And it became harder to feel like I was putting the effort I needed to here. And I know, like, I've had ambitions to do a side project or this or that, and it just couldn't get things off the ground, right? And you just kept feeling like you're failing forward, but not in a desirable way. And I think after a while, it just, taking the break around the holidays was refreshing. But then, all right, new year, let's go, and just couldn't muster the energy. And I knew, right, that's when I knew, like, okay. And I've, always tossed. I distinctly remember talking with Bobby and Sean forever ago, when it was like, how do you know when it's time to, like, end a project? Like, how do you do that? And they just kind of told me, I remember Bobby just saying, you just kind of know. And I grappled with it. I messaged Kevin. I posted in our private chats, and originally I was just going to take some time, and it just kind of felt right, And I think I mean, everyone, you guys understood. And I think that's what made it easier, because like Lucas said it best. Like, my name's sort of attached to this, so that's probably why I carried on as long as I could. But I definitely need to give credit where credit's due. Kevin, if you hadn't stepped in, the show probably would have petered at failed. I mean, I would have shut it down when Lucas had to step away, because I think that was the show as always was. It was like a representation of my friendship and Lucas, and a celebration of the things we enjoy, and sharing that with other people. And I never thought we could continue that without that core part of the show. So without you stepping in for the past, 14 months, 15 months, and I think it's longer than that, actually.
Yeah.
The show wouldn't even made it where it was. So I'm definitely appreciative of that. And um, yeah, I don't want to get too sentimental and sappy here, but that's kind of what brought us here, right? And it's it's just a podcast, right? But it feels like, yeah, it feels like I'm taking old Yeller out back into the. It's like the ending of the red fern grows here. We gotta take the dog out for one long walk, and only one of us coming back.
I do think that you can look back at our first episodes when we were kind of not sure exactly what we were doing or how we want to do it, but you could see the amount of effort we had at that time to put in. I mean, we had custom intros like
Oh my
one of us would
gosh.
read off. Then we
Yes.
had artwork for every single episode that was custom. We named them, but then as time goes on, you can see each one of these things kind of fall away. And I think back on it now, and I think it's just like it never seems like we get more time back. It just seems like more gets on our plates, and you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of see that as a visual representation of the show as we go on, and eventually to the point where we are now, where it was like I dropped off the show, and the hope was like, well, maybe I'll be able to come back soon if I get this thing figured out. But then that free time, or the Tuesday nights with Fluxtaposed gets filled with something else I have to do,
Mm-hmm.
or quite frankly, I mean, we were ending or we were doing episodes there towards the end, at least you and I, where we were talking about mental health and taking care of ourselves. And so it's like the the picture here was completely the landscape was completely different, and I think it just does boil down to what what is your personal ability to take on more on your plate. Like you got this, each person has one size plate, and you got things that you keep piling on there, and eventually some things are going to have to get pushed off to the side. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, especially like we've talked about for mental health, you don't get a lot of free time.
Right.
Even me at home, like I do have some, but like we've talked as a person who stays at home, but with kids, like your job never ends. It's just you're
Right.
on call all the time. And so I'm learning that now. I mean, I can kind of point to that now, but at the time it was like, well, maybe, maybe we can get back to the way things were eventually. But the momentum, it's like trying to climb uphill after an avalanche. It's just so hard to
Yeah.
get any of that back. And so I think that's why a lot of why we're at where we're at now, and you can kind of physically look at our episodes and see that um, that our time was just slowly taken away from us, and unfortunately, we don't want to believe that. I think it
No,
was
no.
like I, it's just I don't know. It sucks, but at the same time, it's kind of what happens, right?
Yeah. Well, we always made that joke too. It's like this is a young man's or woman's game, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
that's like the and like I think yeah, I mean there's obviously a podcast that have older, I think there's a caveat here, and I think like when our when our kids are probably older, you get some of that free time back, or there's like more balance, I should say, right? Where your kids are
yeah.
like or
They're a little
so
self dependent and not
yeah,
so.
like I've even noticed in the um sorry, I had to send my dog upstairs, and then I forgot my wife has to leave again. So yeah, she just got home from work. Um, so and it's just I found even like the past few weeks when I do have that downtime, I'm like I don't even want to play a game. I don't. It's not that I want to watch a TV show, but that like requires the littlest amount of effort where I can kind of just like bleed into the chair,
Yep,
and then
yep.
I just so it's just easier that way. But and I think and coming back, that's where it felt. It's like, man, I just don't have the creative energy, the passion to like create something, and I've talked about that in therapy too for the while. I just felt like, I can't get
Juices
the
flowing.
urge isn't there, right? And so
Yeah.
that's like where I was like, okay, something's got to go, and like I don't know, we'll see what happens after this, but um, the feeds will always be there, right? Like as long as until Anchor starts, we're podcasters for Spotify, whatever you want to call it now, unless they start charging for it. Like the podcast feed is still up, all the episodes minus I think the first 32 I think are available
Yeah,
up
something like
up
that.
there. Those are lost. I mean, I have the original file somewhere, but
I was gonna say I think I might have the original files, but um to just suddenly slap those up there on
yeah,
top of
right.
433. Nobody needs to hear these. If you
Yeah,
really wanted to, you
no,
could
nobody
probably
nobody does
send them
anyway.
to you.
And then the website, it wasn't getting used anyway, so I nuked that a while back, and now I've kind of just spun that into my own kind of personal blog, and for now, and we'll see what that happens, what it turns into, but uh, it's passion side project for now, right? But the Discord, that's not going anywhere. That's still going to be a thing. We're going to hopefully spin that into a community site, and we're still going to be doing our stupid silliness there and hanging out and sharing our good times and bad times there. But this will cease to be, and um, boy, what a journey, and it feels okay to make peace with that. I think for the longest time, I think for a while I was emotional about that because I just didn't know what that meant for the personalities attached to it, right? And like how would I stay in contact with people? I know like it's been tough. I know like Lucas, you and I don't really get the chance to talk as much as we
Yeah.
used to.
At the beginning of this podcast, we used to have a joke where it'd be save it for the pod because we'd want to tell each other our stories and stuff, and then it was like, no, nope, gotta save it for the
Yeah.
pod so that our reactions would be real. And I think that kind of turned into a silent like rule of podcasting is like, well, the less we talk outside of the podcast, the more we'll have to talk on the podcast about. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
this was our big like, all right, let's throw down what we did for the week or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know, Kevin. I mean, you've been a listener for a long time. I mean, you've been a participant for a while as well. But you've had this journey as well, right? I mean, you
Twice.
were so. I mean, you've been through this. I mean, I feel like it's slightly different where you haven't. I mean, yes, you've I don't know. You've always been a part of something more, right? So you've always had probably
Yeah.
something a little bit different to fall back on. But I mean, you've at least killed off a project or know when it's time to step away from a project. And hell, and talking about time, I don't know how you do the things you do. Let alone work, the kids, the game reviews. You did this
Yeah.
too. I mean, I give you props for filling in as you had for so long. So
I mean,
Yes.
it was the only way to keep the sanity. I mean, like you said, you'd find time for those passion projects you wanted to do, and this was something I wanted to do. I missed it, but over time I've realized, and it's ironic because it's the same reason I started listening to podcasts is the same reason why I want to. I don't know, want is the right word, but the same reason I want to stop podcasting right now. And well, it's fine. So like in the early days of podcasting, I would listen to Fluxtaposed and I would listen to a few other shows, but the common thread, and it still is pretty much the common thread in almost all of my listening, is they're not shows where they're trying to teach me something or inform me of something. It's more like conversations, a peek inside somebody's life, what they're doing, what they're experiencing. It's like the reality TV of audio almost, right?
Yeah.
And I like that a lot better. And what I've realized in the time where we took this break too is the same thing is I don't miss the act of podcasting. What I would miss and what I do miss when we take these breaks and have taken these breaks in the past is the friendships, the conversations, like the time to do stuff. So just because we're not getting on here and recording something every couple weeks for everybody doesn't mean we still can't have that interaction. Like you just said to Lucas, like, oh, we save it for the pod, save it for the pod. Well, that's a silly mentality. Let's not. Over the past month or so, Lucas and I have gotten together. We played games like what 3 times now? I think we played
Yep.
Phasmophobia twice, and then Helldivers last week with Josh, and sometimes even with Kyle.
Yeah.
Those experiences are way more fun than doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Like it just is because you can still shoot the shit, you can still have fun, but it's closer to having that real life interaction with somebody. You're not putting on a show. You're not thinking about, okay, what do I need to prep? What do I need to do? I got to
It's
make
not
sure I
a
talk about
job.
these things. Yeah, you're just doing it because you want to do it. Which, yeah, podcasting is the same thing, but the essence of it is still have that time. So I hope that Jason, you'll be able to join us and do some stuff too, and like have these interactions. We can just shoot the shit and play games for an hour instead of worrying about putting on a podcast.
right, you don't have to be on, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? You can be chill, you can be not energetic, you don't have to be entertaining, you can just kind of be. Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah, I mean that sounds nice, right?
Yes,
I
exactly.
don't. I feel like I don't want to come at this and be so like downtrodden and so negative with
No,
come
it's
across,
true.
but I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and it's nice. The reason I think that I've been gaming with you guys because I kind of stepped away from multiplayer gaming in
Yeah,
general.
me too.
But when we play like with you and Josh, and whenever Jason and I would play together, it it doesn't like you don't care if I have to leave at 10
Yeah.
o'clock. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not like you don't get that bro relationship where it's like, oh, come on, man, just play one more, just one more. It's like,
We
oh,
can't
if you
end
have
on
to
a
leave.
loss. We
Yeah,
can't end on a
exactly.
loss.
That also was a young person's game, and that was us at a time. But now it's just like, okay, man, well, thanks for playing 2 rounds or whatever. See you
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
time. And there's not that stigma of like, everybody's life, we all have things going on. We know it. And it's like, if you can show up, great. If you can't, we'll see you on the next one. Look at Kyle. He doesn't show up probably nearly as much as he'd like,
Oh, right.
but when he does, it's great, and we don't give him shit about it or anything. So
No, it's just a matter of being able to play something that's fun too. Like, we're not playing the sweaty games where it's like, oh my god, we got like, we're not trying to do ranked Halo where we get squashed. No offense,
yeah,
Jason. Like, you're much better at those types of scenarios. We just pick a game and it may be good, it may be stupid, whatever. And we're just playing with as many people as we can get together, and pick up a Game Pass Ultimate sub, Jay, and we'll find a stupid game and we can all play instead. Like
What was I think the last thing I played with you guys was we played
Pummel Party.
yeah, Pummel Party. What was that weird?
Pummel
What was that
Party.
tank? That was that one tank shooting
like
artillery
Scorched
game
Earth or whatever.
Yeah.
that Josh had us play, and then we played.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
we tried to play. What's the one that Tom had us all going to, where you had to get the money and steal the stuff?
Oh,
the finals.
the finals.
Which
Finals,
didn't.
yeah.
That's a little too sweaty. I feel like for
Yeah.
me.
We're
Yeah, that
we're
got a
playing
little
like
sweaty.
we do like Phasmophobia or like board game video games instead. Like, so we're just able to just have fun. It's
A
just
lot of
stupid. Like, it's not.
4v PVE or whatever.
What's a game
Yeah.
I can play where I can eat Cheetos
Yes.
and
Phasmophobia.
occasionally
Yeah,
move the
yeah.
mouse with
Yeah.
with a spare pinky from time to time, right?
That's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
And Josh or Lucas are peeing on Mike.
Oh yeah, you get that. You get that.
It's like the old days, yeah.
Yeah, we're all getting drunk
That's
at
the
some
best
point,
part
get a
when,
little toasted.
when Xbox 360 you had one of the wireless headsets, right? You could just
Yeah, you go everywhere. It's like, I'm going to the fridge. I'm going to take you guys to the fridge while I get a beer. This is awesome. Cutting out halfway there.
yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
times.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely look back at the at the experience fondly, and I think it's a weird. I guess it's just weird to be closing in any chapter. I think a part of it, it feels like it feels like giving up a little bit, right? I think that's why there's so much determination, right, to power through, because I felt like throwing in the towel was like admitting defeat, right? That we couldn't just like figure it out or make things work. But we've asked this before, Lucas. I think is like, at what point have we like aged out of the podcast? Like, at what point do right? At what point do people want to hear 40-year-olds talking about video games?
and-
Hey, I'm older than both of you, so
That's why I said 40. I didn't say,
not to
I didn't
get-
say approaching 50.
Not to get like political or anything like that, but the landscape of our politics and our socioeconomics and all this stuff, like two white guys having a podcast isn't really that surprising anymore. Like when people ask me like, what are your hobbies, and or eventually I'll talk about podcasting, I always groan inwardly like it's embarrassing now, because it is a joke. Like everybody has a podcast at some point. And so it just does feel like we said what we had to say, and we put ourselves out there for as long as we could. And I feel like everybody who wanted to listen and like follow that journey with us and hang out with us, they're here now. When we started, I was like, oh, what if we get like 2,000 followers through this or something, some ridiculous number. But I've seen that happen, and I'm like, I'm glad that didn't happen, because at some point it's not us.
Sure.
It's all of these guys and all of these guys and all of these guys in an all-encompassing community. And that's not what I didn't want that anymore. You know what I mean? I want just my friends, the people who've stuck with us. And
Well,
are you saying we need to make podcasting great again?
yes, damn it. Where's my red? Wait, I am wearing my red hat.
You're red hat.
I think it's
Mario. It's mega.
Too, you're probably like, I don't know. You're forced to. I don't know. I feel like your community maybe at some point of that almost drives your direction, maybe. And this is speaking from outside the experience, right? We've, like you said, we've had a small group, but I would say an engaged group,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and we've always just been able to do whatever. But yeah, I can only imagine if you had thousands of people, like just trying to stay, like, how do you manage that from a creator side? Like, how do you stay on the pulse? How are you able to engage and communicate with that many people without just being bombarded, right? It just
Right.
you wouldn't be able to have those more those closer knit relationships, but I think you'd have to really handle things more at a very uh, surface, very very niche surface level type interactions, which I think that yeah, that doesn't sound
Well,
as great, but
and when you are your product, like we talked about, we're not doing like game reviews or what's coming out like we had on Prime or anything like
Mhm.
that. It's harder to do that. Like when you're the product, when you're talking about game reviews and stuff like that, then people are coming for you for your opinion. And I don't feel like that's as personal, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind it as much. But I also realized I didn't want that
Mhm.
through doing the podcast.
mm-hmm.
It took a long time to realize that, but like I don't want to be, not that every podcaster is an influencer or anything like that, but that kind of community isn't really something that I want to be responsible for. I mean, I feel like you would feel way worse if we had to stop a podcast that had like
yeah,
2,000 followers. So,
yeah, that'd be yeah. I know I don't like yeah, I don't know like the details of some of the other shows that of people that I know, but I can only imagine, just what it's like. And I yeah, I mean, we've always been, for the most part, there's just two of us, right, and trying to do all the things, let alone like that's when you have to have a team and all this, and then it's like then it's just another job almost at that
yep,
Mhm.
point, right? And
yep.
to manage what's what's our release schedule, what's this, what are we going on here, what are you guys working on, do you have this down, and like I think there's something probably exciting and energizing about that, but also like that's like what I do.
And it doesn't pay.
Yeah.
Right, that's like what I do throughout the day, and it's like I enjoy that, but I enjoy that there, and I want to leave that there, and
Yep.
here I want to you know want to be something else. So
I want to be nerdy with my friends.
I think it's funny what you touched that, because I think some of the best stuff we produced was like I probably a couple years ago with like the Chrono Trigger
Yep. Yeah.
stuff. I think
That's
that I
exactly
think
what I was
that was a
thinking.
great few episodes, just digging into that. Even
Mhm.
what we did with the dig and like Full Throttle, like when we and again that's when we were like more ambitious and more like plugged in on something, right? But I think that those little pieces really showed for it. But
The
like
want to do it was there, but
the
those were
want to
like
do it,
those were different podcasts. That's like,
Yep.
here's an idea, let's do it for a few episodes, and then we
right?
realized, oh, that's we don't have time to do everything we'd normally do. These have to be special episodes. And then you realize, shit, I don't want to do that every week. This is hard.
Yep.
Right, right. But we did it, and you never would have thought that we've got to talk with all the friendships that we made along the way, other
Hmm.
podcasters, other community members. But then like we've chatted with authors, and we've chatted with musicians, and we've chatted with developers. So like just being able to say we've done that and to have those recorded and experience that, like two schmoes from Michigan that didn't know what the hell they were doing most of the time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
um pretty remarkable. And just like I don't know, like the fact even like just doing the live, like it's a lot of work to do this, and there's a reason why we stopped doing it, but like that always felt like an event, right? To do the live show and have people hang out, and
Yeah.
was always just fun to do. And I think like we kind of created our own meta, and we had our own, like, it's funny, like Kevin, whenever he was just a guest, he would always come in and he'd have like the Fluxtaposed meta, like
Yeah.
we've got he had the mechanical keyboard
Keyboard.
clacking, and we got to have
Yep.
some synth wave, we got to we had all these checklists to
My
Yep.
wife.
yeah.
My
so
wife. Yeah.
so I mean, very very remarkable. And I don't
I mean, Battle of the Beer. Come on. Those
Yeah.
things are great. Like for anybody listening that did not experience, weren't around during that time, look it up on YouTube. Battle of the Beer. That is some of the best stuff these guys put together, but so time consuming. You could just tell.
Yeah.
But they were awesome. So it's like it's kudos. Like you guys on this journey, like 10 years, like you tried whatever you wanted to do. And that's what made it authentic. Was it was just you guys saying like, hey, let's try and do this. You weren't tied down to, okay, this week we have to do this, or we have to do that, we have to hit all these different things. You guys just did what you wanted, and if it worked, great. If it didn't, you also didn't really care because you were just doing what you wanted to do, and people tuned in for you guys. That's the thing.
Sure.
It wasn't what you were talking about. It wasn't for video game coverage. It wasn't for whatever. It was for you, and that's the most genuine experience you can get from a listener. To then, me being involved is even better. But like as a listener, that's what you want. Just that authenticity, the genuineness of what you guys did. Is people just listen to you. It had nothing to do with the end product. It was
Yeah.
you guys were that product. So people were there for you, not for what you were talking about or whatever the subject matter was. That was just bonus. They were there for you.
So freaking beautiful, man. That's it. Fluxtaposed
Dude!
2.0.
Oh
Yeah, that
my
too.
gosh. I mean, yeah.
That's an amazing thought that anybody would, because my real life is so opposite to that feeling that I mean, I sit at home all day now, so I barely interact with human beings except through the screen. But to know, like, when I'm saying something, people in a week or so are going to hear this and get a chuckle out of something I said. Like, that's the thing that made me,
Yeah.
I think, feel the best and like make me want to keep coming back was like when people would text me about something I said, and of course I'd be like, "Did I really say that? Oh,
Yes.
that is pretty funny. You're right." But it was like, "Oh, that's so cool that somebody." I mean, the only thing I can really relate it to maybe would be like stand up or being a comedian is like
Yeah.
getting that type of feedback where they're like, "You're funny. I just want to hear you talk. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really care what you're talking about."
how
So,
I mean,
many times has Callow referenced your broom incident? I mean,
God, yes. Yeah, and I
bull.
learned about La Chanclas and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So
Bull butter.
bull butter, yeah.
Bull butter.
Yep.
You got to change the hardware. All that stuff. But I mean, like I have a record player because of you guys. Like you just mentioned, I'm like that seems kind of cool. And like all I have is literally just video game soundtracks. I don't have anything
all I
else.
That's all you need, baby. And
Right.
also, I'm sorry, because welcome to the most overpriced hobby you'll
I've
ever.
gotten pretty good at looking for deals. But anyway, like
Nice.
that's what fun. Like my DIY skills over the years have gone greatly, but it's all because of like, well, I heard Lucas fumbled his way through it. I might be able to do it too, or or Jason had to deal with this and he got through it. I could probably do it too, and
Is
like
it-
it got me to go out and try
yeah,
it. So it's
how many
like,
times have you approached a project? It's like, well, Luke, yeah, I've done the same thing. Like, well, Lucas did this. No,
Yeah.
but I was like, I can
How
do
hard
this.
can it be?
Yeah.
I mean, I still don't like doing stuff on cars, but everything else
No.
I've tried at this point. Like, so it's that confidence, and it's not just like. So you guys started it, you got the community around it in the Discord, but like you see everybody posted the DIY. Hey, I did this project, I did that project, and we joke at each other, but it's genuine like support for another person. And we've talked about the mental health thing and like the community we have. It's pretty much guys. It's a sausage fest, but it's like you have guys out there supporting other guys, and people don't like to talk about that. Like we always have to be like, well, we're the guys. Our emotions don't matter. We'll suppress that. It doesn't matter what we're thinking. It doesn't matter what we're doing or how we're feeling. We've given a safe space for people to jokingly, we'll rib each other about it always, but everyone in that community right now, I feel safe saying whatever they want to say on that platform. And that's something special. You don't get that with a video game podcast. You don't get that with something like, it's a very different world that you guys have created. And like you said, it's still going to be there, which is great. Those people still support each other, but it's all because of you somehow collected these people and made this community. You know what I mean? Like it's not because of a video game review or coverage of E3. It's just, no, it's you guys shooting the shit. And people are like, hey, this is kind of cool. I like these guys. Feel like I know these guys. I have this connection to them, and they're still there. Like we probably have people in the Discord right now that maybe don't even listen to the show anymore, but they're still there every day posting something in there too. So it's like, it's that community, and that's something that's special. It's not just like, oh, hey, did you guys see what the new game on Game Pass? Like, okay, that's great too if you want that, but it's just something different here,
Yeah. Well, we're a bunch of folks who aren't necessarily, especially as us men, we're typically more nerdy. We don't
Mhm.
know how to do what I think some people would be like, "Oh, that's a typical man job thing to do." What do you mean you don't know how to change your brakes on your car or whatever?
Mhm.
But when I post, "Hey, I did this thing," like I get more of a reaction from you guys in a positive way than like even from some of the people in my real life where I'm just like, "Hey, wife, I did this thing today," and
So
she's
you
like,
could just
"Oh,
say it to wife.
finally." Yeah, yeah. I mean, the only other person I talk to. No, but
My kids don't even care. I changed a
yeah,
little in the car. My daughter's just looking at me.
Isaac's
Whatever.
like, Dad, I'm trying to play Roblox. God.
shut
You're
up.
so mid, Dad. You're
Yeah,
hurting my riz.
I wish it's embarrassing for you to have to work on the car. I wish we could just take the car to the place like they do.
Dad, why do you always
That's
have to
coming.
work on the
Teslas don't need so
car? Why
much
doesn't it
work.
just work?
Yeah.
I think you're under the car longer than you're in the car. Jeez. But
Oh,
yeah, like I think part of it is that you guys appreciate and know how much work some of that stuff goes into that type of stuff. And so you're just like, but it's also like I see you guys post stuff and I'm like, oh God, I'm glad I'm not dealing with that right now.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
like there's that aspect of it too. So it's equal parts humor and appreciation. And
Better him than me.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think that's true, and I think that's one thing I think we've always tried to showcase too is like the authenticity, right? Where it's not like our lives aren't perfect, right? We're not influencers. We don't have perfect children that are like shining bastions of what the society believes kids should
Oh, we
be,
bitched about our kids all the time on the podcast, I'm
and
pretty sure.
and just like we're gonna have shit's gonna go wrong, right? Water heaters are gonna stop, furnaces are gonna
God.
go out, cars are
Yeah.
gonna break down, our spouses are gonna get pissed at us. We're gonna be hungover, like all these things, like, and we're gonna share that, right, and be open about that, and like and talk about the things that we struggle with. And I think that's what my hope was with us being forthcoming and outward with the things that we're dealing with, that someone that is dealing with something worse or more feels empowered, or just feels like life isn't just constantly shitting on them too. Like, oh man, everyone's dealing with something right now, and I can get through this too. And like these guys are, dealing with stuff, and I can tackle this. And I just hope it helped inspire other people to keep going and to get through whatever they're dealing with. And and to like take everything on a flip side too. It's like we one day just said, hey, we're gonna do this, and we did it for 10 years. So if you're listening right now and you've always thought about it, or you wanted to and didn't know how to get started, I think any of us here are more than happy to be a resource and to help you on that journey. And like, if you've been thinking about it, just do it, right? Because what do you have to lose? Nothing. Like, if you're gonna go into this and think about, if you're trying to make something more of it, right? If you're going into it with the goal of turning a profit, or getting just worried about analytics, or getting the sponsorship, or getting this, then don't do it, because your heart's not in the right place. But if you're just doing it for the enjoyment and the passion of doing something, right? I would support that. And I think I've referenced that before. Like Kevin Smith, I'm pretty sure, said like just podcast, and he's always been a very big supporter of the medium, just for the fact of the camaraderie, the friendships, and the fact that you have something that's timeless, that you'll have from years on, that you can go back to. Like, my son doesn't know what this is, and I was talking, like, when I told my wife about it, and he was asking like, what's daddy got to do? And I was like, oh, my show. And he's like, what's that? Like, he had no idea,
Yeah.
what it is. But at some point when he's older, this stuff will still be out there, and he can like listen to it, or check it out, and be like, my dad was fucking weird,
Yeah.
first of all. But I mean, like, that stuff's there. So that's cool. It's like a time capsule of your life that you can you share with people. So I would encourage that. And like, especially now, it's so much easier than like when we started. Like we're not even like the earlier podcasters, right? There's shows that came up before us, but like when we started, we were self-host. Well, for a long time, we were self-hosting, much longer than we should have, on WordPress or on Squarespace. Like,
Oh God, yeah.
now, like there's other sites and avenues that it makes it much easier to host and produce a podcast. But it's much easier now. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
If you're trying to do with something like this, it's a lot easier. The technology is more advanced, and just what we've dealt with coming through COVID and things like that, right? Like the communication channels are even better. So there's so many better ways, or easier ways to get that. And I think it's like when I start to think of, okay, like what's next for me, and I this show is always like, Lucas and I, we've talked about it throughout the show, and even before that. Like, we've had these creative urges, and every creative avenue we've ever tried failed, right? There
Yeah.
was flash animations, there was machinima, there was
Music.
music, so many things, and this was like
Yep.
that thing that scratched that itch that we could, it was attainable, right? And I think even like I would say Battle of the Beer was probably our most ambitious things, and I think again, family, time, constraints. Hell, now you've got a host that doesn't drink alcohol. Can't exactly go. I can't. How would I jump back into that
Well,
now?
and
Right?
locate
So
like especially like that thing was location as well, which was the main reason that we stopped was because we didn't think we'd have a location and we didn't think we had an editor because I stopped editing on that show too. So like I think I've throughout all these projects I've learned something about myself, and I think people will too if they attempt these. And a lot of it has to do with I need someone else to keep me responsible for doing
mhm.
these things
Yep.
because doing it alone is super duper difficult. And there's been plenty of times where Jace and I have basically pulled ourselves out of the muck or pulled each other out of the muck just to be able to be like, hey, let's just go shit on some audio for a while, and we'll try better on the next one, but at
Yeah,
least we got one out. And it helps to have someone else, or in that case a group of people who are
yeah,
like don't, if you can't do it all yourself, don't let that be a barrier from trying these avenues
Mhm.
and seeing what, because I do miss the creative side of making content, and I'm not particularly creative now, but
hmm
I know that time will come back. And like you were saying, trying to force it
right.
is kind of why we're here now. Is I mean, we've puttered along for so long, but um, like this is one of my hurdles now. Is just like I ain't got the energy to be creative now. It seems like I tried to pick drawing back up, and I showed you guys, and that's kind of fallen by the wayside. So it's just like, damn, you know. But you do what you can while you can do it, and
Yeah,
don't stress about it
yeah.
like Jason does.
So check out our new viral dance over on TikTok. You can follow us over
Yeah,
there. That's where we're gonna be creative now. We're gonna do TikToks
Oh
instead.
no.
yeah, low cost, low effort 10-second video clips of us dancing.
Oh boy. What I mean, I don't want to like. Do you guys have any like? What's next for each of you? Like, do you have like I mean, Kevin, you're still probably doing to be running with games reviews, but I mean, do you have like? I let you back into podcasting, and now I just closed the door again. Like, do you have that like that desire to continue doing that? Would you want to do a show again? I mean, what's next for you?
I mean, game reviews aren't stopping. Those are still coming strong, and I could always use additional people if you guys decide you want to be creative in that outlet. I can hook you up. But as far as podcasting, like now, if somebody wanted me to come on a show and like guest every once in a while, I wouldn't have a problem to do that. But I think, like I said earlier, what I would miss more is just spending time in that conversation instead. So as long as we still connect, we still play games, we still have some sort of conversations, I'm good with that. I think at this stage of my life, like you said, so much stuff going on,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like there's only so much time, and I still want to do things online. I still sit there and watch TV. I'll still build Legos every now and then and do something a little creative in that avenue, miniatures like that. So that'll be my outlet going forward. But yeah, if somebody ever wants me to like pop on an episode or want to hear my opinion for whatever reason about a certain thing, sure, I'll hop on and do those. I'm not sitting there saying like I'm never podcasting again, but I don't think you're going to see me headline a show
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucas, same question.
Ooh, I'm glad you asked. I actually wrote a book. It's right here. No,
His new podcast is actually up already.
Oh boy.
yeah, exactly. Link in the description. So I've thought about this for a while now, and like I just said, I haven't been particularly creative lately. I do agree with Kevin's sentiment right now. I think getting right back into podcasting or doing a different show or anything like that would be a dumb move, a terrible move for me. Um, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna kind of focus on myself a little bit more. There's a varying level of like figuring out how to be a stay-at-home dad still, even though you would think I'd have that figured out. But like as the kids get older, needs get different. The needs that are or the things that I need to focus on are changing a little bit, and I don't think I ever saw myself like being a stay-at-home dad. Like the thought never really
Well,
occurred to
sure,
me,
sure.
but like I'm the one who's typically making sure the house gets picked up and stuff. And as you know, having lived with me, I am terrible in that regard. Like it's never been my strong suit. So like trying to figure stuff like that out right now is a really big thing. And so like I think once this stuff feels like it's going well, just my typical like, not that it's going badly, but there's just a lot going on and the kids are getting older. I've got a kid who started preschool and now and then she's going to be going, more regularly, so that'll open up more time for me, but then who knows, I might have to get a part-time job or something. So it just kind of depends on what happens. It's a little bit up in the air, but I do want to try and figure out what does come next. I guess I'm still sort of in that gray period where I know I need to be somewhat creative, or because it's all I've ever done,
Hmm.
even before we did the podcast like you talked about. So I'm sure something will come along. But right now I'm not really sure what that is. And I think that's okay. I think I'm okay with that actually. So,
I feel like, yeah, there's probably like a bit of a identity. I don't want to say identity crisis, but I mean, like, first of all, from going from who you were to then stay at home dad, right? That's a shift.
yeah.
And then now that demand is lessening, shifting. So then it's like, who are you again? And I think like I've seen that same thing with my wife at home too. With now that my
My wife.
son's there, it is.
Sorry.
Now that my son's been at school all day, right? That gave her more time to explore different things for herself and like having rejoined the workforce last year and trying to figure out who she is or what she can contribute. Like those are all like self discovery and things like that. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean myself too. Like I don't know. Like for 10 years we could say, oh, I've done a podcast. I do a podcast. I'm a podcaster, right? And then, like
Yep.
before that, I was like, oh, I've always had these like. I need to pick one thing and just stick to one thing instead of like I brewed beer, I did the podcast, I played bass, like there's all these
Yeah.
things that like I never just really mainlined, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know, and like the concept of this, I've always enjoyed, and I know like, yeah, I've had the like last year or over a year ago, I got really amped up about the idea of a solo project, but then now it's like, like there, again, you're putting all that weight on yourself to of responsibility, right? And like, I think for a while, yeah, I think I'm good with, like you said, just stepping away for a bit. I make the joke about the guest spot world tour, like more than
Mhm.
happy to, but to like jump on and if I like, I know if I have the urge, right? I know about 8 shows probably right off the top of my head
Right.
that I could
Yep.
get myself into, but um. Oh, look at this. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel. No. Um, but so there's other avenues, right, to get through to that. But then it's like I don't want to be like the focal,
Yep.
also like I want to be the person that can just show up and contribute, and then
Yeah, that's a much
I
Color
want
easier
commentator.
role.
I'm ready
You're
to
the
be a
color
role player.
commentator.
I'm ready to be a role player
Hey now.
and not the CEO, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's don't.
Somebody else can drive the boat and you're just gonna be a passenger on there
I just
and
want to be the weird
comment.
uncle sitting on the cooler passing out drinks.
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. It sounds good, right? I mean, I don't know. I
You guys want to feel really old?
Yes.
already do, Kevin. We lost your audio, or is it just me?
No, it's not just you. He's
Oh,
still talking and he's not muted. I don't know what
no.
happened.
He broke the internet, folks.
You guys want to see something that'll be really cool?
You boys like Mexico? How do I get rid of this? I want to first time chat. I want to go away. How do I?
Live stream. I mean, it's got to happen because we're on live stream. Kevin looks just like I did when we would like start streaming, and then you'd be like, Lucas, I can't hear you, and for the 10th time in a row, and you're just like, I
Um,
don't know why. I've checked the things that I can check.
I'm gonna have them rejoin, and then it's gonna break Streamlabs, which is always fun. But
Bastards.
you know,
Yeah,
let's.
it's got to be done.
Yep. Here we go. Get ready for wacky cameras. 3, 2, 1. Bye, bye, Kevin. Maybe. Oh. Oh.
There it goes.
Look at.
Hey.
Hey, you're in 2 spots now.
Oh yeah, there we go. I got a little bit of a delay. Now I'm over here. Now I'm over here. Now I'm over
See, this
here.
is the problem with the live stuff. It's just like,
Yeah,
especially when with people that are mediocre at it. You know, there's the people that are good at it, and that probably makes things easier. Hey, look, now you switch spots. Now you're over there.
Oh.
He has no
Oh
audio
no.
still. Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm a computer.
Mamma mia.
Oh boy. This is why Kevin doesn't want a podcast ever again.
Yeah, this is why I don't want to. Oh wait. I can hear myself through his now. Oh no, it stopped again.
Hello?
Hey!
Oh, there he is.
All right, so it's through my headset now, so I probably sound different, but whatever.
No, that's all right.
I guess it's the only way we can make it happen. What I was saying was I have a list of things that happened the year Fluxtaposed started.
Oh boy.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
To make you feel old about this and think about how long it's been going on. So the number one movie the year Fluxtaposed debuted was Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1.
Oh wow. Dang.
I remember when we went to that.
Yeah, we did.
And the number 2 and 3 movies was Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 and Captain America the Winter Soldier. So
Jesus.
That's
The
old.
Winter Soldier.
The
wow.
number one song was Pharrell Williams with Happy. Was the biggest song. Also to go along with his biggest hats. True Detective debuted the same year.
Okay.
Really?
Let's see. Frozen was everywhere. That's the year Let It Go and all that stuff blew up.
Okay.
Taylor Swift had the biggest selling album, 1989.
Wow.
Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was all the rave, if I remember that. You had to dump the water on yourself.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uber Eats launched that year. Let's see what else. The Kermit the Frog sipping tea meme debuted that year. And Jason's favorite emoji, the shrug emoji, debuted in 2014. That little is everywhere.
It's very useful. Okay. I use that in the eyeballs all the time.
The iPhone 6 was released.
Wow, that's old feeling.
And this is also the year that U2's album was forced downloaded on every Apple product, so all the iPhones, all the iPods. Remember that happened?
Yes.
That big scandal?
God.
That happened the same year.
Fucking U2.
I think we were the best thing that happened this year.
Justin Bieber was arrested on drunk driving, resisting arrest, and driving without a valid license charges in Miami that year.
Okay.
Let's see. What else did I see on here that was good? Oh, President Obama went on Between the Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis that year.
Obama, come back.
How I Met Your Mother ended that year.
Okay.
And in relationships, here's the biggest one. So this is the year that Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie got married. They no longer exist. So see, Fluxtaposed outlasts Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Also, outlasted Katy Perry and John Mayer. They also broke up. Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin had their conscious uncoupling this year as well. So you outlasted all 3 of those celebrity couples.
Good God.
As well as Kim and Kanye got married this year as well in 2014. So none of that stuff exists anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And Force Awakens, the first trailer for that, was shown in 2014 as well.
Oh, we must have been.
We did. Remember, we did the journey to the Force Awakens, and we talked about all the Star Wars things, and then we had to have like 2 episodes just to talk about the movie. And
but actually,
oh my God.
So yeah, I just thought that was a little fun thing to look up and see what else was big in 2014.
A lot of things that I would not have ever expected.
Yeah,
I mean. I don't know. What a wild, strange, weird journey it's been, right? I mean, I don't know. I think when we started this, I don't know how we ever thought it would go, how long it would go for, what it would, what we would achieve, what we would see, do, make, progress,
Say.
and here we are. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there's ever. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't I don't think there'll ever be a project I do that's as personal and not, I don't want to say as long, but in length, if that makes sense. Like when I
Mhm.
say as long, it makes it sound bad, but definitely this is the longest standing thing that I've ever done.
Sure.
Um,
It's like one of those series. Like I don't know. I think there's something to say when like I'm linking it to a TV show, right, where they have we're gonna when we came up with the concept, right? We've got it. The arc is gonna go for 5 to 6 seasons, and it's gonna end, right? And
yeah,
you've get
yeah,
like I feel like those shows work great, right? Because it's thought out, it gets through the journey, it tells the story, and it's done. Versus something that's successful and it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, and they're like, okay, now we gotta figure out a way to end it, right? Because
right.
it lived well past it when it should, and usually that's because of money, right? But like it
Yep.
was doing well, and like so then it just kind of then you got to try to figure it out, right? And um I don't know. I guess that's the point here. It's like when you approach something creative, like is it easier just to have that set experience? And it's just something to say like, okay, I know what this show is going to be, and we'll do this for a couple of years, and then you can take those same people, right? But now we can do something different with a new focus and different theme
Yeah.
and whatever, and we'll do that for a bit, and then it's done. And I have a feeling like once this project is done, it might be easier on the next thing to like when it's ready you can just like okay this isn't working and just kill it, right? Where this is like
Yeah.
this has always been the one, the baby, the passion project, and that's why this one probably lasted as long as it has,
Hmm.
whether that be for better or for worse. But I don't know, maybe that'll be easier to make those pivots and make those moves. And I don't know. I guess nothing else though. I'm yeah, if it wasn't for the Lexapro, I'd probably be more sad that things are ending,
Really
right? But
evened out.
otherwise, like I'm more emotionally leveled right now, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
Pills,
that's
baby.
like my wife always says. She'll be like, "Well, are you gonna be sad?" I was like, "There's times when I thought about it and I was like emotional, but now when I'm like in the moment, it's like I got nothing."
That's
It's
probably a
like
good sign. You know what I mean?
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know where else I want to keep, going tonight, and I don't know like I don't want to prolong the show just for the sake of prolonging the show, but I don't know like yeah, we could keep going and keep talking about it and keep I don't know. I don't want to go in circles here, and I don't want to
Hmm.
um I don't know. The thing is like the show is ending, and it's a sad thing to see the show go, but at the same time I'm happy with the journey the show has taken. And I'm at peace and okay with saying that it's time to be done, and it's okay to be done, because just like Kevin said, like those are probably the things I'll miss, is like the time with my friends, right? And I just because I'm not recording a podcast doesn't mean I can't still have those. In the private chat, guys, you guys can't see, Kevin and Lucas are discussing bull butter and Kevin
Junction ballpark
Kevin doing other
pranks.
things. So if you're wondering why they have faces and reactions, that's why. They're just small children. Okay.
Just us
You're
being
you're
us.
you're
They're
the
just
teacher, and we're just over here like passing notes
they're
and
just small
giggling.
kids. So I guess in as we bring this full circle, I guess like if you guys want to share like what I don't know, like I don't know how you can like really summarize Fluxtaposed easily, but I mean if you want to just if you want to, or if you're willing to, like if you want to just kind of share what this has meant to you, or I don't know, any I guess any last and like post mortem here, like Lucas, you're the bringer of the eulogy, right? I mean, this is
Yeah.
this is that time, so I don't know, like Save me from myself is what I'm
All
saying
right.
here.
Well, I will say in 10 long years, I'm surprised that none of us had said anything that got us canceled. So congratulations to all of us for that. You know, we've been mostly PC, so that's great. Yeah, I definitely think that this journey has been a positive one, and I'm glad to have shared it with all of you guys. And Jason, I want you specifically to know that this isn't canceling our friendship, because
It
it's been
is.
our friendship. It is our friendship has been this for so long, just because it is hard to get together in real life. But um, you know, we'll still, like you said, there'll still be the community there, and who knows, maybe something will spring up later down the road when we get more time. It may not be this, but it may be us, and that's what you guys have always been here for, is us. And we've always been kind of here for you guys too, and glad to for that to be the case. So
So,
yeah, I don't know.
are you going to start the Fluxtaposed, the community, the podcast?
Yes,
You gotta
yes,
recap. You gotta
exactly.
give all the behind the scenes of the every single episode.
Yeah. So this is what happens
The
behind the
Giara
scenes.
HL podcast.
Oh God, you want to hear some bad stuff, some laughable stuff? It's still up. Um, but yeah, I hope, guys, I hope some people do share in our Fluxtaposed Discord, uh, if they want any thoughts that they have. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you know,
Actually, it
it's
does. It's
it
required.
does. I need timestamps of exactly what you're talking about, because I'm sure I've forgotten most of it. But like, as far as I'm concerned, uh, I'm gonna drink water that tastes like it rolled down the ass crack of a giant. I'm on a sinking ship of despair, and for the last time, I'm gonna go eat pizza rolls.
What the hell's going on here?
What the
Oh,
hell's going on?
your turn, Kevin.
I mean, I kind of gave my eulogy earlier, but here's the thing. My final thoughts on this is, you talked about the feelings of sadness. I don't think you should. So regardless of the pills, and all joking aside, you guys have nothing to be sad about. Like I said, you built something really special that's different than the average show that just ended because somebody left the show, or
Hmm.
people are interested in whatever the subject matter was, or that trend went away. You
Sure.
didn't follow any of that stuff. It was you guys all along. It was you guys, and that's the reason why everyone listened. That's the reason why I'm still there. The personal growth you guys have had, like you said, in your lives, like when you started, no kids, newly married, and like, you went through all different things, whether it's personal journeys, weight loss, health scares. We've all had these different things, and you shared that with the community. You've been open about it. There was very little that was like private. Like, I mean, like there wasn't really stuff that was going on that you guys didn't feel okay about talking about. So it was like that intimate, behind the scenes look. And we just joked about behind the scenes of the podcast, but you saw that as the podcast. The podcast was behind the scenes, like, hey, here's just the life of what's going on with us.
Hmm.
And it's what made podcasting as a medium for me to be entertaining. I listened to this show. I listened to, you mentioned Kevin Smith earlier. There was Tell Him Steve Dave is one of the shows that came from his network.
Sure.
I listen to that today, and 90% of it is just these guys that are around the same age as me or slightly older, just talking about the shit that happens in their lives and how messed up it is in certain points. So it's like, to me, that's way better entertainment, more value there, where it's just, it's like a good popcorn movie, right? People want to shit on that because, like, oh, well, what's the substance in it? It's like, you don't always need that. You want to just have fun. You
Yeah,
want to have a laugh. You want to get to know people. That's what this is. That's what this community will continue to still be. And like you said, this isn't necessarily 100% the end. The stuff is still going to be there. If you want to light it back up and say, hey, I got this idea to do something, number one, call me. I'll be here for you guys again, as always. And, we can do something again later on if that's the case. But you have nothing to be sad about. You should be trying to celebrate this 10 years of this existing. Most people get nowhere close to 10 years.
Sure.
No one gets anywhere near close to the number of episode count you guys have without having, multiple shows. And if they count all the episodes together, oh yeah, you got 400 episodes. This
Right.
was one show that
yeah,
had 400 and what was this, 33?
33. Yeah,
Yep.
433 episodes. That's over a year's worth of content. Like,
if
I
you
mean, that's,
listen every day. Yeah,
yes, you listen to episode a
crazy.
day, you had over a year. Like, That is so much. So you guys have nothing to feel sad about, nothing to be ashamed about. You didn't let anybody down. This was all about you to begin with. So it's fitting that you were the ones to make the call to say, "Hey, I think it's time to stop this right now and do something different if you feel the need to, or just kick back and have fun with what you created at this point. Have fun with that community, continue to engage them, continue to play games with them, and share your ideas and thoughts and feelings, stuff like that. You can still do it without a podcast. It's fine. Now it could just be more two-way instead of one-way, where you're talking into the microphone and hoping that somebody's listening. When you talk in the Discord, you hope somebody's going to respond, but you're more likely to get a response there in
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
cases. But yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you took this medium here that was a conversation between the two of you, and you've now opened that up to 20, 30, whatever amount of people that are, active in the Discord at any given point. You've opened up that same communication to more people, and that's not going to stop just because this podcast stops. You think about the content on the Discord. Yes, you have the room for the show talk and you post the things there, but most of the conversation does not have anything to do with the shows.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to change if you're not doing shows, because it's not about the show anyway. It's about what you guys built. That's not going anywhere. You have everything to be proud of, nothing to be sad about. That's enough for me. Mic drop. I threw my mic. I can't drop it. I threw it across the room. It
Yeah.
wasn't working. So
Did it too early.
yeah.
well, thank you. Yes, thank you for
Yes,
that.
thanks, Kevin.
And yeah, I mean, boy, how do I bring it in? Like, I don't know. I've
Dutch
thought about,
rudder.
I've I've thought about that leading up to this, and like, how do I make a one final show that's a proper send off and a proper thing? And I don't think I could approach that in many ways. I don't think I'd ever be happy with the final product. So I think in closing, it's just, wow, thank you for the people that listened. We were, I hate to say the term blessed, but we were with key people along the way that listened to the show and talked to us and left us comments, and that was like that initial fuel to, like, hey, like, yeah, everyone puts something out there like, oh, what if it takes off or do this or that, but like, you put that out there and like, what if nobody listens, right? And then we were lucky enough to always have people come along the way and be key commenters or key engagement people, and just really, that was like, wow, this is great that I know that things I said resonated with someone and helped them on their journey, and just like, that's this cool stuff that happened, and the fact that, like, I remember when we made the Discord, what if nobody joins it? When we started the Patreon, what's, like, stuff like that, and which is cool
Yeah.
to have people, like, there's some people that signed up day one that supported that Patreon the entire time, and it was never about the money, it was just to help us support what we do. And yeah, I'm really thrilled with the people and the friendships that we've made along the way through this avenue and this medium. And I didn't think I'd ever be talking on a podcast 10 years later on the same podcast with mostly the same people, and we did it, and we did it our way, and that's what we always did, right? And that's what we set out to do, and that's what we always were able to accomplish. And I think I feel accomplished. And boy, it's been a hell of a ride, right? It's been exhausting at times, and stressful and scary and exciting, and just a wave of emotions that's weird for something that's like not a real thing can evoke inside of you. So yeah, I don't know what else is left to say except yeah, thanks to everyone that's been here at any point, that's listened to an episode, that's shared an episode, that's sent, like, retweeted a tweet, that's left a comment. Like, that's immensely appreciated. And yeah, I thank you, from the bottom of my heart, and everything that Lucas and myself and Kevin and Tom have done. That's it. I really appreciate it. And boy, 433 episodes, right? I don't know how you end it, how you wrap it up without that. And damn, it's been fun, and I'm glad that we're able to end it the way we wanted to. So thank you guys both for making the time to come on here with me tonight to put the show to pasture and send it off as only we could. And yeah, here's to the next thing. So I don't know what's next yet, if anything, but we did it. So on behalf of myself, Kevin, Lucas,
Hey,
Tom, it's been a hell of a ride, man. And I thank you guys
sir.
for being with me on the journey. So for the last time, we're saying goodnight on Fluxtaposed. And yeah, just thanks for everything. And that's it. You got to get out of here now. We're done. So just go, please.
You, you
You
stayed
don't
a
have to go
while.
home, but you can't stay here.
You stayed a while and listened, but now it's time to go. Empty bar stool.
GTFO.